I used to believe love was simple. Work hard, stay loyal, trust the people you choose. I always told myself. That was my whole philosophy. Ava used to smile when I said things like that. You're too pure for this city, she teased, brushing her fingers across my cheek. One day it's going to eat you alive. Not if I have you, I'd reply. That night, I carried Daniel's finalized quarterly reports under my arm, proud of the work I'd done. I hadn't told him I was coming over. I wanted to impress him. I wanted to secure the promotion he kept dangling in front of me. I also hadn't told Ava. She'd been distant for weeks. You're working late again? She had asked the night before. Just trying to build our future, I said. Our future, she repeated, but her voice sounded hollow. Standing outside Daniel's penthouse, I told myself the unease in my chest was just exhaustion. I adjusted my tie and knocked. Before anyone answered, I heard it. Ava's laugh. Soft, intimate, unmistakable. I froze. No, I whispered to myself. She's not here. Maybe Daniel had the TV on. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe stress was finally cracking my mind. The door opened. Daniel stood there, relaxed, sleeves rolled up, no surprise in his eyes. You should call before coming over, he said smoothly. I brought the reports, I replied, trying to look past him. I thought you'd want. Then I saw her. Ava stepped out from the hallway, barefoot, wearing one of his shirts. My lungs stopped working. Ava. My voice barely existed. She stiffened. I can explain. Explain. That's funny, I said, though my ears were ringing. I was just about to ask for one. Daniel leaned against the doorframe. This isn't the way I wanted you to find out. Find out what? I snapped. That my girlfriend likes expensive penthouses. Ava flinched. Don't do this. Do what? React. Lower your voice, Daniel said calmly. You're being emotional. I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to me. Emotional? I walk into my manager's apartment and find my girlfriend half-dressed, and I'm emotional. It's not what it looks like, Ava insisted. It looks like you're wearing his shirt. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Daniel crossed his arms. We didn't plan for this. How long? I asked. Neither of them answered. How long? I shouted. 6 months, Ava whispered. 6 months. I tried to calculate how many dinners, how many kisses, how many I love yous had been lies. While I was working late? I asked. Ava's eyes filled with tears. You were never home. I was building a life for us. You were building a life for yourself, she shot back. You love being the dependable one, the martyr. That's not fair. Isn't it, she said. You never asked what I wanted. I asked you every day. You asked if I was okay. You never listened to the answer. Daniel sighed. This is getting messy. I turned to him. You. He raised an eyebrow. Me. You mentor me. You praise my loyalty. You talk about integrity. And you sleep with my girlfriend? He didn't blink. Your personal life isn't my responsibility. My personal. I choked on the words. You knew she was with me. She came to me, he said evenly. Ambition attracts ambition. Ava looked away. So that's it. I asked her. He's ambitious, and I'm not. He's powerful, she said quietly. The words sliced deeper than anything else. I was going to propose, I admitted. Silence. Daniel actually looked surprised. That would have complicated things. I stared at Ava. Did you ever love me? She hesitated. That hesitation was my answer. I did, she said finally. But love isn't enough. For who? I asked. For you? Or for him? She wiped her eyes. I'm tired of struggling. We weren't struggling, I said. We were starting. I don't want to start, she replied. I want to arrive. Daniel stepped forward. You're talented, he told me. But you lack ruthlessness. I laughed bitterly. Ruthlessness. Yes. The world rewards those who take what they want. You mean like you took her? She wasn't taken, Ava snapped. I chose. The words echoed. I chose. I felt smaller than I ever had in my life. Smaller than every late night. Smaller than every sacrifice. So what happens now? I asked. Daniel shrugged. That depends on you. On me. You can keep this professional, he said. We don't have to let personal matters interfere with your career. I stared at him. You think I can work for you after this? If you're smart, he replied. And if I'm not? He smiled faintly. Then you lose more than your girlfriend tonight. There it was. The quiet threat. Ava reached for me. Please don't make this worse. Worse. I stepped back. You think I have that power? You're overreacting, she said. Overreacting. I repeated softly. I trusted you. Tears slid down her face. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. Daniel glanced at his watch. This conversation is unproductive. I looked around the penthouse, the city lights, the expensive art, the life I thought I was working toward. You knew, I said to Ava. Every time I talked about him. Every time I said I admired him. She couldn't meet my eyes. I needed more, she whispered. I nodded slowly. In that moment, something inside me cracked, not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, permanent fracture. I hope it was worth it, I said. It will be, Daniel answered for her. I met his gaze. This isn't over. He smirked. It is for tonight. Maybe he was right. I placed the reports on the entry table. You'll have what you need for the meeting. Thank you, he said, as if nothing had happened. I looked at Ava one last time. Goodbye. She didn't say it back. The door closed behind me with a soft click, but it sounded like a gunshot in my head. In one breath, I had lost my girlfriend, my mentor, and the future I thought was waiting for me. And as I stepped into the elevator, staring at my reflection in the mirrored walls, I realized something else. I had also lost the version of myself who believed loyalty was enough. I didn't sleep. I stared at my ceiling until dawn and kept hearing Ava's voice. I chose. It replayed over and over, mixing with Daniel's calm tone. Keep it professional. By the time I walked into the office, my eyes burned. Jason looked up from his desk. You look like hell. Rough night, I muttered. With Ava, I stiffened. Why would you ask that? He leaned back. Because I saw her leave Daniel's building this morning. My stomach dropped. You were there? I live across the street, he said. Don't tell me you didn't know. I know, I replied quietly. Jason's expression hardened. I always thought something was off. About them? About him, he corrected. He plays favorites. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Daniel, come to my office. Now. I swallowed. He wants to see me. Jason shook his head. Don't let him push you around. I lied. I walked into Daniel's office feeling like everyone could see through me. He didn't look up immediately. Close the door, he said. I obeyed. He finally met my eyes. You look tired. I didn't sleep. That's unfortunate, he replied calmly. We have a busy quarter ahead. I clenched my fists. Why am I here? He folded his hands. To establish boundaries. Boundaries? What happened last night stays separate from this office, he said. You will keep it professional. The words burned. Professional. Yes. No outbursts. No gossip. No hostility. You think I'm the problem? I think emotions cloud judgment, he said. You've been distracted lately. Distracted. I let out a bitter laugh. You're sleeping with my girlfriend. Lower your voice, he said evenly. This is exactly what I mean. I forced myself to breathe. You blocked my promotion. He tilted his head. Excuse me. I've led 2 successful projects. You said I was ready. I said you had potential. And leadership requires composure, he replied. Your attitude concerns me. My attitude, I repeated. Yes. You're talented, but you lack executive presence. Executive presence, I echoed, feeling humiliation crawl up my neck. Is that code for not being ruthless enough? He didn't answer directly. Corporate watches behavior closely. Have you been telling them I'm unstable? I've been honest, he said. Your recent performance reviews reflect inconsistency. You wrote those reviews, and I stand by them. So you've been holding me back for months. He leaned forward. Be careful. Or what? Or your future here becomes complicated. There it was again, the quiet threat. You're punishing me because she chose you, I said. This isn't about her, he replied smoothly. This is about merit. You think sleeping with my girlfriend proves merit? He smiled faintly. You're letting this get personal. It is personal. Not here, he said sharply. Here, you are my subordinate. The word hit me like a slap. He stood. I suggest you return to your desk and focus on deliverables. And if I don't, then I'll have to reconsider your position. I walked out before I said something I couldn't undo. Jason stood when I approached. Well, he says I lack executive presence. Jason scoffed. That's his favorite phrase. He's been blocking me. I know, Jason said quietly. You know, I've seen the budget approvals, he replied. Your projects outperform everyone's. Then why? Because you don't worship him, Jason finished. Before I could answer, I saw Ava near the break room. My chest tightened. She looked up, eyes red. Can we talk? I nodded stiffly. We stepped into an empty conference room. She crossed her arms. I didn't want this to explode. Explode. I said. You detonated it. I needed stability, she replied. Stability, I repeated. Yes. You're always chasing the next goal. That was for us. For you, she corrected. Daniel can offer more. Money. I asked. Security. I was building security. You were building promises, she shot back. He already has it. I felt shame creep under my skin. So I wasn't enough. She hesitated. You were safe. Safe isn't enough, I said bitterly. No, she whispered. It isn't. I looked at her, searching for something familiar. Did you ever believe in me? I did, she said. But belief doesn't pay rent. That's what this is about. It's about not struggling forever. We weren't struggling. We were surviving, she replied. Her words cut deeper than anger. So what am I supposed to do? I asked. Congratulate you? I didn't want to hurt you. But you did. She wiped her eyes. You'll understand one day. No, I said firmly. I won't. We stood in silence. Finally, she whispered, I hope you don't ruin your career over this. I let out a hollow laugh. You think I have that power? He does, she said quietly. That humiliation settled into my bones. I walked back to my desk feeling smaller than ever. An email notification popped up. Subject, confidential, internal audit inquiry. I frowned and opened it. Mr. Carter, it began. Corporate headquarters is initiating a formal audit of your division. Your cooperation is required. My pulse quickened. Another email followed immediately. Ms. Grant, HR Director. Please meet with me at 3 p.m. regarding compliance documentation. Jason noticed my expression. What is it? Corporate is auditing us. His eyes widened. You're kidding. They want my cooperation. Jason leaned closer. They've been sniffing around Daniel for months. Why? Expense discrepancies. Vendor favoritism. Promotions tied to loyalty. I thought about my reviews. My blocked advancement. His threats. My phone buzzed again. Daniel, forward me any audit correspondence immediately. I stared the message. Jason raised an eyebrow. You going to? I looked toward Daniel's glass office. He was watching me. For the first time since last night, something shifted inside me. Humiliation was still there. Anger too. But beneath it, I felt something else. Opportunity. I typed a reply to Ms. Grant instead. I'm available at 3 p.m. I'll provide whatever you need. Then I locked my phone and met Daniel's gaze through the glass. He gave me a polite smile. I didn't smile back. For the first time since I walked into that penthouse, I wasn't thinking about what I had lost. I was thinking about what he might. At exactly 3 p.m., I sat across from Ms. Grant in her quiet office. She folded her hands neatly on the desk and studied me. Thank you for coming, she said. I didn't think I had a choice, I replied. There's always a choice, she said gently. This conversation is confidential. I nodded, but my pulse was loud in my ears. She tilted her head. How would you describe Daniel's management style? I hesitated. Strategic. And demanding. And, she pressed. I swallowed. Selective. Selective how? He invests in people who benefit him. She made a small note. Has he ever pressured you to alter reports? No. Has he ever taken credit for your work? The question hung in the air. Yes, I said quietly. How often? More than once. Can you give an example? My last 2 projects, I replied. I built the models. He presented them as team initiatives led by him. Did you object? I trusted him. She looked at me carefully. Why? because I thought loyalty mattered. And now, I exhaled. Now I'm not sure. She leaned back. We're conducting a full audit of this division. Mr. Calloway from Regional Oversight is leading it. Why? We've received multiple complaints. About what? Budget inconsistencies, promotion delays, vendor favoritism. My jaw tightened. Promotion delays. Yes, she said. Your name came up. In what way? As someone repeatedly recommended but never advanced. I let out a humorless laugh. That sounds familiar. Did Daniel ever explain the delays? He said I lacked executive presence. And do you believe that? I met her eyes. No. She nodded slowly. We need documentation, emails, draft reports, anything showing authorship. I felt the weight of the moment pressing on my chest. If I cooperate, I asked, what happens? We investigate thoroughly, she replied. We protect you from retaliation. You can guarantee that. We can enforce policy. That's not the same. She didn't disagree. What you decide today matters. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Ava, can we talk? I stared at the screen. Ms. Grant noticed. Is everything all right? Personal matter, I said. Does it affect your decision? I looked down at the phone again. It shouldn't. She folded her hands. Take your time. I left her office and found Jason waiting near the elevators. Well, he asked. They're serious. He nodded. They should be. What do you know? I asked. Enough, he said. You remember the Phoenix account? The restructuring project? You built that model alone. Yes. Daniel submitted it to corporate under his name, Jason said. I saw the email chain. My stomach twisted. Why didn't you tell me? You were proud he trusted you, he replied. I didn't want to ruin that. It was already ruined. Jason stepped closer. He's been moving money between departments to inflate performance metrics. You're sure? I've cross-checked the internal budgets, he said. Numbers don't lie. I felt something click into place. That's why the vendor contracts kept changing. Exactly, Jason said. He rewards vendors who return favors. And promotions? Tied to loyalty, he answered. Not results. I rubbed my temples. I defended him. I know. I thought he was mentoring me. He was using you. The words settled heavily. My phone buzzed again. Ava, please. I miss you. Jason glanced at the screen. You going to answer? I don't know. You still love her, he said. That's not the point. Then what is? The point, I said slowly, is that I built something real, and he stamped his name on it. Jason's voice softened. So what are you going to do? I stared at Daniel's glass office across the floor. He was inside, calm as ever, reviewing papers like he owned the world. I could stay quiet, I said. Keep my head down. And maybe survive. Jason shook his head. Surviving isn't winning. I'm not trying to win. Then what are you trying to do? I thought about Ava in his shirt. About executive presence. About 6 months of lies. I'm trying to stop being small, I said. Jason nodded once. Then don't be. My phone buzzed again. Ava, I'm outside. For a moment, my heart leapt. I imagined walking down, hearing her apologize, feeling chosen. Then I imagined Daniel smiling. I opened my email instead. I scrolled through months of correspondence. Draft attachments with my name in metadata. Time-stamped submissions. Budget concerns I had flagged and he had dismissed. My fingers hovered over the forward button. Jason watched quietly. Once you send it, there's no going back. I know. Are you doing this because of her? I shook my head. No. Because he slept with her? That was the spark, I admitted. But this, I gestured to the screen. This is about respect. Jason didn't interrupt. I gave him loyalty, I continued. He mistook it for weakness. So show him it isn't. I selected Ms. Grant and copied Mr. Calloway. Subject, documentation, authorship, and budget concerns. I attached everything. Before I could second-guess myself, I hit send. The email whooshed away. My chest tightened, then steadied. Jason exhaled slowly. That's it. That's it, I repeated. My phone buzzed again. Ava, I'm leaving if you don't come down. I typed a response. I can't. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. I locked my phone and slipped it into my pocket. Jason studied me. How do you feel? Terrified, I admitted. And free. Across the floor, Daniel looked up from his desk, as if sensing something shift. For the first time, I didn't look away. I walked back to Ms. Grant's office and knocked. Come in, she called. I stepped inside. I've decided. She watched me carefully. Yes. I'm cooperating fully, I said. Whatever you need. Her expression didn't change, but I saw approval in her eyes. That's a significant choice, she said. I know. Mr. Calloway will want to speak with you directly. When? Soon. I nodded. I'll be ready. As I left her office, fear still lingered in my veins, but it no longer controlled me. Daniel had taken my work. Ava had taken my trust. But this decision? This one was mine. By the end of the week, the office felt different. Whispers replaced casual chatter. Doors closed more often. Conversations stopped when I walked by. Jason leaned toward me and murmured, he's spiraling. I kept my eyes on my screen. How can you tell? He snapped at 3 managers before noon, he said. That's new. Across the floor, I heard Daniel's voice rise. I asked for revised projections, not excuses. Silence followed. Jason smirked. See, I didn't respond, but I felt it. The crack in his composure. An hour later, Daniel appeared at my desk. Conference room. Now, he said. His tone had lost its smooth edge. I followed him inside and closed the door. Have you spoken to anyone from corporate? He asked. Yes. Without informing me? They contacted me directly. His jaw tightened. You should have looped me in. I didn't realize I needed permission. His eyes hardened. Careful. With what? With how this looks, he replied. You've been disgruntled. Disgruntled, I repeated. That's the word you're using? You've had performance concerns. Performance. I said quietly. Our obedience? His nostrils flared. You're making this personal. You did that months ago. He stepped closer. If you think aligning with corporate will save you, you're mistaken. I'm not trying to save myself. Then what are you trying to do? I held his gaze. Tell the truth. He studied me for a long moment, and for the first time, I saw something flicker behind his confidence. Uncertainty. This won't end the way you expect, he said. Maybe, I replied, but it's already ending. That night, I was halfway through a drink in my apartment when someone knocked. I opened the door and froze. Ava stood there, arms wrapped around herself. What are you doing here? I asked. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside. She walked in slowly, looking around like she didn't recognize the place. You look tired, she said. Everyone keeps telling me that. She exhaled. Daniel's under pressure. I've noticed. He says corporate is overreacting. Does he? He thinks someone is trying to sabotage him. I let out a short laugh. That must be stressful. She frowned. This isn't funny, isn't it? He promised to recommend me for a senior role, she continued. Now he won't even discuss it. I leaned against the wall. That's unfortunate. He's stressed because of you, she said suddenly. Because of me? Yes. You're cooperating with the audit. So you're making things worse. I stared at her. Worse for who? For all of us. You mean for him? She hesitated. He's under scrutiny. He should be. She looked at me sharply. You're enjoying this. The accusation hung between us. I'm not enjoying anything, I said slowly. I'm watching consequences. He says you're being vindictive. Does he? He said you're unstable. I almost laughed again. That's familiar. She paced across my living room. You don't understand how much pressure he's under. I understand perfectly, I replied. He's losing control. She stopped walking. He's different lately. Different how? Colder, she admitted. Short-tempered. He barely looks at me. Maybe he's busy protecting himself. Her eyes flickered. You think that's it? I think he prioritizes survival. She swallowed. He told me loyalty matters. I met her gaze. It does. Just not the way we thought. She sank onto the couch. He said once this blows over, everything will stabilize. And you believe him? She didn't answer immediately. I thought he was strong, she said quietly. Untouchable. No one is untouchable. She looked up at me. You've changed. Have I? You're calmer. That's because I stopped begging. Her eyes softened. I didn't come here to fight. Why did you come? I needed to see if you're really doing this. I am. For revenge. I shook my head. For clarity. A knock echoed inside my chest as my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. Mr. Carter? A deep voice asked. Yes. This is Mr. Calloway. I glanced at Ava. I'll step outside. She watched me carefully as I moved to the hallway. Thank you for your documentation, Mr. Calloway said. It's been illuminating. In what way? We've identified financial misconduct. My pulse quickened. Misconduct. Yes. Budget reallocations without authorization. Vendor kickbacks. I closed my eyes briefly. You're certain? We have hard evidence, he replied. Your contributions have been critical. And what happens now? We proceed formally. Interviews. Possible suspension. A sharp breath left my lungs. Understood. You may be asked to testify internally, he added. I will. We appreciate your integrity, he said before ending the call. I stood there for a moment, absorbing it. When I walked back inside, Ava stood up. What did he say? They found misconduct, I replied. Her face drained of color. That's not possible. It is. She shook her head. He said everything was clean. Did you see the numbers? No. I stepped closer. I did. She looked at me differently then, like she was recalculating something. He wouldn't risk everything, she whispered. Everyone risks everything when they think they won't get caught. She wrapped her arms around herself again. If he falls, he won't be able to protect you, I finished. Silence filled the room. You knew, she said slowly. You suspected. I suspected I was being used. And now I know. Her eyes searched mine. Are you happy? The question startled me. I thought about Daniel's tight jaw, the sharp tone, the way he'd looked at me in the conference room. I'm not happy, I said honestly. But I'm not powerless anymore. She flinched at that word. You wanted someone powerful, I continued quietly. Now you're seeing what that costs. She didn't argue. When she walked to the door, she paused. He looked nervous today, she admitted. I pictured his expression when our eyes met across the office floor. For the first time, I said, so did I. She left without another word. I locked the door behind her and leaned against it. Rumors were spreading. Corporate had evidence. Daniel was losing control. And when I saw him the next morning, his smile thinner, his eyes sharper, I felt it. Not joy, not relief. Something darker. Satisfaction. By the end of the week, the office felt different. Whispers replaced casual chatter. Doors closed more often. Conversations stopped when I walked by. Jason leaned toward me and murmured, he's spiraling. I kept my eyes on my screen. How can you tell? He snapped at 3 managers before noon, he said. That's new. Across the floor, I heard Daniel's voice rise. I asked for revised projections, not excuses. Silence followed. Jason smirked. See, I didn't respond, but I felt it. The crack in his composure. An hour later, Daniel appeared at my desk. Conference room. Now, he said. His tone had lost its smooth edge. I followed him inside and closed the door. Have you spoken to anyone from corporate? He asked. Yes. Without informing me? They contacted me directly. His jaw tightened. You should have looped me in. I didn't realize I needed permission. His eyes hardened. Careful. With what? With how this looks, he replied. You've been disgruntled. Disgruntled, I repeated. That's the word you're using? You've had performance concerns. Performance. I said quietly. Or obedience? His nostrils flared. You're making this personal. You did that months ago. He stepped closer. If you think aligning with corporate will save you, you're mistaken. I'm not trying to save myself. Then what are you trying to do? I held his gaze. Tell the truth. He studied me for a long moment, and for the first time, I saw something flicker behind his confidence. Uncertainty. This won't end the way you expect, he said. Maybe, I replied, but it's already ending. That night, I was halfway through a drink in my apartment when someone knocked. I opened the door and froze. Ava stood there, arms wrapped around herself. What are you doing here? I asked. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside. She walked in slowly, looking around like she didn't recognize the place. You look tired, she said. Everyone keeps telling me that. She exhaled. Daniel's under pressure. I've noticed. He says corporate is overreacting. Does he? He thinks someone is trying to sabotage him. I let out a short laugh. That must be stressful. She frowned. This isn't funny, isn't it? He promised to recommend me for a senior role, she continued. Now he won't even discuss it. I leaned against the wall. That's unfortunate. He's stressed because of you, she said suddenly. Because of me? Yes. You're cooperating with the audit. So you're making things worse. I stared at her. Worse for who? For all of us. You mean for him? She hesitated. He's under scrutiny. He should be. She looked at me sharply. You're enjoying this. The accusation hung between us. I'm not enjoying anything, I said slowly. I'm watching consequences. He says you're being vindictive. Does he? He said you're unstable. I almost laughed again. That's familiar. She paced across my living room. You don't understand how much pressure he's under. I understand perfectly, I replied. He's losing control. She stopped walking. He's different lately. Different how? Colder, she admitted. Short-tempered. He barely looks at me. Maybe he's busy protecting himself. Her eyes flickered. You think that's it? I think he prioritizes survival. She swallowed. He told me loyalty matters. I met her gaze. It does. Just not the way we thought. She sank onto the couch. He said once this blows over, everything will stabilize. And you believe him? She didn't answer immediately. I thought he was strong, she said quietly. Untouchable. No one is untouchable. She looked up at me. You've changed. Have I? You're calmer. That's because I stopped begging. Her eyes softened. I didn't come here to fight. Why did you come? I needed to see if you're really doing this. I am. For revenge. I shook my head. For clarity. A knock echoed inside my chest as my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. Mr. Carter? A deep voice asked. Yes. This is Mr. Calloway. I glanced at Ava. I'll step outside. She watched me carefully as I moved to the hallway. Thank you for your documentation, Mr. Calloway said. It's been illuminating. In what way? We've identified financial misconduct. My pulse quickened. Misconduct. Yes. Budget reallocations without authorization. Vendor kickbacks. I closed my eyes briefly. You're certain? We have hard evidence, he replied. Your contributions have been critical. And what happens now? We proceed formally. Interviews. Possible suspension. A sharp breath left my lungs. Understood. You may be asked to testify internally, he added. I will. We appreciate your integrity, he said before ending the call. I stood there for a moment, absorbing it. When I walked back inside, Ava stood up. What did he say? They found misconduct, I replied. Her face drained of color. That's not possible. It is. She shook her head. He said everything was clean. Did you see the numbers? No. I stepped closer. I did. She looked at me differently, then, like she was recalculating something. He wouldn't risk everything, she whispered. Everyone risks everything when they think they won't get caught. She wrapped her arms around herself again. If he falls, he won't be able to protect you, I finished. Silence filled the room. You knew, she said slowly. You suspected. I suspected I was being used. And now I know. Her eyes searched mine. Are you happy? The question startled me. I thought about Daniel's tight jaw, the sharp tone, the way he'd looked at me in the conference room. I'm not happy, I said honestly, but I'm not powerless anymore. She flinched at that word. You wanted someone powerful, I continued quietly. Now you're seeing what that costs. She didn't argue. When she walked to the door, she paused. He looked nervous today, she admitted. I pictured his expression when our eyes met across the office floor. For the first time, I said, so did I. She left without another word. I locked the door behind her and leaned against it. Rumors were spreading. Corporate had evidence. Daniel was losing control. And when I saw him the next morning, his smile thinner, his eyes sharper, I felt it. Not joy. Not relief. Something darker. Satisfaction. When the email came from corporate, it was brief. Report to executive boardroom. 10 a.m. Jason leaned over my desk. That's it. Maybe, I said, though my pulse was steady. You nervous? Yes, I answered honestly, but not for the reason you think. At 10 a.m. sharp, I walked into the boardroom. Mr. Calloway sat at the head of the table. Ms. Grant was beside him. Two other executives I didn't recognize reviewed folders in front of them. Have a seat, Mr. Calloway said. I did. He studied me for a moment. Daniel has been suspended pending final review. The words landed quietly. Effective immediately, Ms. Grant added. I nodded once. Understood. Mr. Calloway folded his hands. We've been monitoring this division for over a year. Over a year? I repeated. Yes, he said. Performance discrepancies triggered internal flags. I felt something shift in my chest. And your name kept surfacing. In what context? Consistent excellence, he replied. Your reports outperformed projections. Your models were cleaner. Your forecasts more accurate. I blinked. Then why was I never promoted? Mr. Calloway exchanged a glance with Ms. Grant. That's part of what concerned us. You knew, I said slowly. You knew he was blocking me. We suspected bias, Ms. Grant said carefully. We needed proof. And now you have it. Yes, Mr. Calloway replied. Financial misconduct, misrepresentation of authorship, policy violations. Silence stretched between us. What happens next? I asked. We finalized the investigation, he said. In the meantime, the department needs leadership. I held his gaze. You want me to recommend someone? No, he said evenly. We want you. The room felt suddenly smaller. Interim managerial authority, Ms. Grant clarified. Effective tomorrow. I let out a slow breath. You're serious. Very. What about retaliation claims? They won't stand, Mr. Calloway replied. Your documentation protected you. I leaned back slightly. Why me? Because you did the work, he said simply. And because you chose integrity when it cost you. I thought about that. What would my authority include? I asked. Budget oversight, project approvals, personnel evaluations, he said, including final disciplinary actions. The meaning behind that last phrase was clear. I understand, I said. Do you accept? He asked. I hesitated for only a second. Yes. Good, Mr. Calloway said. You start tomorrow. The next morning, I walked into the office earlier than usual. Daniel's office door was open. Jason approached slowly. Is it true? Yes. He glanced toward the glass walls. You're in there now. I am. He gave me a small grin. About time. Sitting at Daniel's desk felt surreal. The city stretched behind me, the same view he used to command. My phone buzzed. Email from corporate. Final approval attached. I opened it. Termination authorization, Daniel Whitmore. My name appeared beneath it. Authorized signatory. My hand hovered over the document. There was a knock at the door. Ms. Grant stepped in. Security is escorting him up to collect personal belongings. Already? Yes. She placed a pen on the desk. Once you sign, it's official. I picked it up. My fingers trembled slightly. Are you certain? She asked softly. I am. A few minutes later, the elevator doors opened outside the office. I saw Daniel walking between two security officers. He looked composed, but his eyes were sharp. They stopped at the doorway. I'll give you a moment, Ms. Grant said, stepping aside. Daniel walked in alone. So, he said, looking around. This is how it ends. I remained seated. It's how your actions ended. He let out a quiet chuckle. They put you here quickly. They recognized the work. He studied me carefully. You think you won? I met his gaze. This isn't about winning. It feels like it, he replied. Revenge suits you. This isn't revenge. No. He stepped closer to the desk. You cooperated eagerly. I told the truth. He smirked faintly. Truth is flexible. Not this time. He looked at the document in front of me. You're signing it? Yes. You always wanted my chair, he said. I wanted fairness. And now you have power, he replied. Be careful. It changes you. Did it change you? I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he said quietly, "You were useful." The word didn't sting anymore. "I'm not useful to you now," I said. "No," he agreed. Silence filled the space between us. "You could have come to me," he added. "We could have handled this internally." "You mean quietly?" "Yes. So you could keep everything." He exhaled through his nose. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe," I said. "But it's mine to make." He glanced toward the door. "Sign it then." I looked down at the page. Termination, effective immediately, due to confirmed misconduct. My hand steadied. "You don't look afraid," he observed. "I'm not." "What are you then?" "Done." I pressed the pen to paper. The sound was small, just ink moving across a line. But it felt louder than any argument we'd ever had. When I finished, I slid the document forward. "It's official," I said. He stared at my signature for a long moment. Then he nodded once. "Enjoy it while it lasts." Security stepped back into view. Daniel picked up a small box of personal items from the credenza. As he walked toward the door, he paused. "This won't be the last time our paths cross," he said. "Maybe not," I replied. He held my gaze for a final second. But this time, there was no amusement there, only recognition. The door closed behind him. I looked down at the signed letter again. My hand wasn't shaking anymore. Not from fear, from finality. By noon, the news had spread across the entire floor. Daniel was gone. I was interim manager. People knocked before entering my office now. Jason stepped in first. "How does it feel?" "Quiet," I said. "Powerful." "Responsible." He grinned. "You'll get used to it." Before I could respond, I saw her through the glass. Ava. Her eyes were red, her posture smaller than I'd ever seen it. Jason followed my gaze. "You want me to?" "No," I said. "It's fine." He nodded and left. A soft knock at the door. "Come in," I said. She stepped inside and closed it behind her. "You look different sitting there," she whispered. "So do you standing there?" Her lips trembled. "He won't answer my calls." I didn't reply. "He blocked my number," she continued. "HR told me my promotion review is postponed indefinitely." "I see." "That's it," she asked. "That's all you're going to say? What would you like me to say?" She stepped closer to the desk. "I made a mistake." The words hung in the air. "A mistake," I repeated calmly. "Yes," she said. "I thought he was stable. I thought he was untouchable. And I was wrong." I studied her face. I remembered another night, bare feet, his shirt, hesitation. "You didn't trip," I said quietly. "You chose." Tears spilled down her cheeks. Don't what?" "Don't make it sound so cold." It was cold. She covered her mouth briefly, trying to steady herself. "You would have never betrayed me." "No," I agreed. "I wouldn't have." "That's what kills me." "What does?" "You loved me," she whispered. "Completely." I felt the old ache stir, but it didn't control me anymore. "I did," I said. She looked at me like she was searching for the version of me who would have stood up and pulled her into his arms. "He promised to protect me," she continued. "He said we'd rise together. And now he won't even acknowledge me." I leaned back slightly. "That's who he is." "I didn't see it." "You didn't want to." She flinched. "I thought you would never rise higher." That sentence landed harder than anything else. "What does that mean?" I asked quietly. She swallowed. "You're talented." I knew that. "But you were comfortable." "Comfortable." "You were loyal, patient. I thought you'd stay in the background forever." "And that disappointed you." "Yes," she admitted. The honesty stung more than the affair. "So you bet on him," I said. "I bet on ambition," she replied. "You didn't believe I had any." She shook her head quickly. "Not like his." I stood slowly, walking around the desk, until I was standing in front of her. "You never asked what I wanted," I said. "I did." "No," I replied. "You assumed." Her voice cracked. "I didn't think you'd fight." "I didn't either," I admitted. She looked up at me. "You've changed." I stopped shrinking. She reached for my hand, but I didn't move. "I was scared," she whispered. "I didn't want to struggle forever." "We weren't struggling," I said. "We were building. I was tired of waiting. So you replaced me." Her face crumpled. "Don't say it like that." "It's the truth." I didn't mean to replace you, she sobbed. I just thought. You thought I wasn't enough. Silence. That's not what I felt, she said weakly. It's what you acted on. She wiped her cheeks with shaking hands. When he cut me off, I realized something. What? He never saw me as a partner, she whispered. Just an accessory. I nodded once. Now you know how that feels. She stared at me. You're punishing me. No, I said calmly. I'm accepting reality. Her breathing grew uneven. I miss you. I felt the weight of that. The history. The nights we planned futures on my couch. I miss who I was with you, I admitted. Her eyes brightened slightly. Then, maybe we can. No, I said gently. The hope drained from her expression. You don't mean that. I do. She shook her head. You still love me. Love isn't the issue. Then what is? Respect. She covered her face again. I said I was sorry. I believe you. Then why can't we fix this? Because you didn't just cheat, I said quietly. You revealed what you think of me. Her shoulders trembled. You didn't lose me, I continued. You chose to replace me. The words hung heavy between us. I was wrong, she whispered. Yes. I didn't think you'd ever sit in this office. I didn't either. She looked around slowly. You proved me wrong. That's not why I did it. Then why? Because I deserved better than being underestimated. Her eyes searched mine one last time. There's nothing left. I felt the final thread inside me loosen. There's gratitude, I said, for what we had. And distance. She let out a broken sound. I thought you'd fight for me. I fought for us, I replied. You walked away. Tears streamed freely down her face now. I don't recognize you, she whispered. I recognize myself for the first time. She stepped back slowly, like she was realizing the door behind her was the only direction left. I loved you, she said. I know. Do you hate me? No, I answered honestly. I don't. She hesitated at the door. Will you ever forgive me? I already have. Her brows knit together. Then why does it feel like this? Because forgiveness doesn't mean access. The silence that followed felt final. She nodded faintly, as if something inside her had finally accepted what her heart resisted. I hope you're happy, she said. I hope you learn, I replied. She opened the door, then paused without turning back. You would have never betrayed me, she whispered again. No, I said softly. I wouldn't have. The door closed behind her. I stood there for a long moment, feeling the absence more than the pain. I didn't break down. I didn't chase her. I returned to my desk, sat in the chair she once thought I'd never reach, and felt something settle inside me. Not anger, not longing, just clarity. The story didn't stay inside the building. Within days, other branches started calling. Jason walked into my office, holding his phone. It's everywhere. What is? I asked. Internal memo leaked, he said. Other regions are reviewing his approvals. I leaned back in my chair. That was fast. He made enemies, Jason replied. You just opened the door. I didn't do it alone. You signed it, he said. I looked at him. We signed it. He smiled faintly. Fair. By the end of the week, corporate sent another notice. Expanded review, prior executive decisions. Jason whistled when I showed him. They're digging deep. They should, I said. You know what people are saying? I can guess. They're saying you cleaned house. I didn't clean anything, I replied. I reported facts. Still, he said, leaning against the desk, thank you. For what? For standing up, he answered. Most of us just complained. I complained too, I admitted. Yeah, he said. But you did something. I thought about that. It cost me. He nodded. It cost him more. Later that afternoon, Ms. Grant asked me to stop by. I closed the door behind me. You've handled the transition well, she said. I'm trying. No retaliation. No grandstanding. No public gloating, she continued. That matters. I'm not interested in humiliating anyone. She studied me carefully. That restraint is leadership. I didn't know what to say to that. She folded her hands. The board is discussing making your position permanent. I held her gaze. Officially? Yes. Because I expose him? Because you demonstrated judgment, she corrected. Exposure was a byproduct. I exhaled slowly. I didn't expect any of this. Few people do, she said. Power tests character. And, I asked, and so far you're passing. When I returned to my office, I stood by the window for a moment. Weeks ago, I had felt small in this building. Now, the silence felt earned. One evening, as I left late, I saw a familiar figure near the entrance. Daniel. He wasn't inside. He stood across the street, hands in his coat pockets. For a second, I considered walking the other way. Instead, I crossed toward him. He looked up as I approached. You look different, he said. So do you. His suit was still expensive, but it didn't fit the same way. Or maybe he just didn't wear it the same. Congratulations, he added quietly. On what? On surviving. I did more than survive. He gave a tired half-smile. Yes, you did. We stood there in the cool evening air. They're reviewing everything, he said. Deals from 3 years ago. Expense approvals. Travel reimbursements. I know. You think they'll find more? If there's more, yes. He nodded once, as if he already knew the answer. I underestimated you, he admitted. I know. You were quieter than the others. I was observant. He looked at the building behind me. They moved quickly. They had reason. He studied my face for a long moment. Ava stopped answering my calls. The confession caught me off guard. I didn't respond immediately. She thought I was unstoppable, he continued. Turns out, she prefers stability. I almost laughed, but I didn't. That surprises you? I asked. He shook his head slowly. No. For a brief moment, I felt something close to pity. He looked smaller. Not physically, but in presence. You warned me about power, I said. I did. You were right. It changes people. He met my eyes. It isolates them too. Silence settled between us. You could have come to me, he said again, though there was no accusation left in his tone. And done what? Found a compromise. I wasn't interested in compromise. He let out a long breath. You're colder now. I'm clearer. He nodded slightly. That's probably better. Cars passed behind us. The city moved on. Do you regret it? I asked. Which part? All of it. He considered the question. I regret being careless, he said finally. Not the choices. He looked at me, directly. Ambition has a cost. And you were willing to pay it. Yes. And now, he glanced down at his hands. Now I'm paying. The honesty didn't feel dramatic. It felt quiet. I don't hate you, I said. I didn't expect you to, he replied. You're not built that way. You were wrong about a lot of things. A faint smile touched his lips. Clearly, we stood there for another moment. Two men who once shared an office and a power imbalance. Take care of it, he said, nodding toward the building. I will. He stepped back toward the curb. For what it's worth, you earned it. I watched him walk away. No security, no audience, no spectacle. Just a man leaving without applause. As I turned back toward the entrance, I realized something. Karma isn't loud. It doesn't explode. It doesn't scream. It moves slowly, steadily, until the balance shifts. Weeks ago, I had stood outside a penthouse feeling powerless. Now I stood outside my own building, holding authority I hadn't stolen. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt aligned. Jason's voice echoed in my head. You did something. Yes, I had. And the most satisfying part wasn't watching Daniel fall. It was realizing I never had to push him. He had built the fall himself.